Hi everyone, this is Cody Root, and today we're going to talk about linear arithmetic or Presburger arithmetic. I talked about this a little bit last time, but the cool thing about Presburger arithmetic is that it's just the theory of the natural numbers with addition, and it's decidable, but it's actually quite a sophisticated theory, and in particular, there's this kind of mind-bending result that there's no way to build a decision procedure that's super efficient, that quickly solves all the problems you can ask in this theory. I think this is kind of cool, and this is one of the rare kind of complexity theory lower bounds where you can say, hey, it's at least this hard to solve this problem. These are very hard problems in general in computer science. I'm going to explain how one gets to this result and, why I think it's cool. I think people that have been listening to this podcast should have all the tools to understand this stuff. It's a little technical, but I'll try and chew it up and give the main ideas without delving too much into the horrible details. So in, I think 1929, I guess, Moyes Presburger noticed people were trying to understand logic, and they were trying to understand this notion of completeness and this notion of decidability. Of course, Gödel had just, proven completeness of first order logic, and he was about to discover this incompleteness phenomenon for arithmetic. But at the same time, other people were thinking about other things, and Moyes Presburger, I think, I don't want to say the wrong thing. I think he was Hungarian. He discovered that there was actually a way to take arithmetic with only addition, and all the quantifiers and some axiomatization, the details of which are sort of unimportant. It's sort of like Turing completeness. If you add enough axioms, you're going to get there. And he could show a method of taking these quantified propositions and turning them into propositions with fewer quantifiers. This is called quantifier elimination. And if you can take a quantified proposition and turn it into a proposition with one fewer quantifier, you can keep doing that. And eventually you get to a proposition with 0 quantifiers. And that's just a Boolean combination of basically sums and equalities, all right, and less thans. And you can just check that and see if that Boolean combination is always true. Now, it might be potentially huge, and indeed it has to be, as I'll explain later. But you can just do that, and you end up with this decision procedure that takes in, a question about linear arithmetic and answers yes or no. So, if you do this, you can easily see that the theory is complete, which is to say that all the questions you can ask have a definite answer, a yes or no answer. And then, you can actually write down the algorithm to do this. And then perhaps you can observe that this algorithm is really, really, really bad. That is to say, when you eliminate a quantified statement, the resulting thing with the fewer quantifiers is huge, and you've only eliminated one quantifier, so it can multiply. Okay, so the question is can you do better? And people in the 70s started to think about this problem, seeing if you could do better. And in 1970, I have the paper right here. 1974, Michael Fisher and Michael Rabin, both notable computer scientists, discovered that actually you can't do better. There's no possible way you can get really good decision procedures for Presburger arithmetic. And the reason is Presburger arithmetic is super expressive, actually. You can express a lot of things in it. As I mentioned last time, you can express what it means to be divisible by 3, for example, in Presburger arithmetic, right? X is divisible by 3 if there exists y, such as y plus y plus y equals x. All right, that's what it means to be divisible by 3. And you can easily see that any constant number being divisible by that constant number is expressible in arithmetic. Other things like being less than or equal, All those are things you can pretty easily express in Presburger arithmetic. And this expressiveness allows you to do something really fascinating. It allows you to simulate Turing machines up to a certain bound, right? In Peano arithmetic with multiplication, I explained you could simulate Turing machines, unboundedly. You could just say what it meant for a Turing machine to halt, and this was why really fundamentally Presburger Peano arithmetic is undecidable. In Presburger arithmetic, you can't do that. You can only simulate Turing machines for a certain length. And say that you could simulate a Turing machine for 10 steps, right? A pretty natural question is, hey, does this Turing machine halt in 10 steps, right? And that question is certainly decidable, right? You take a Turing machine, you run it for 10 steps, you see if it's halted or not. Kind of a natural thing to then ask is, okay, but how fast can I figure out whether this Turing machine halts, right? If I said, does this Turing machine halt in 10 billion steps, you'd run it for 10 billion steps to see if it halts. It'd be more natural. No, it would be easier to say, hey, can I check real quick? Can I just look at the Turing machine and, I don't know, do maybe 10 steps or 100 steps and figure out really quickly whether it's going to halt within 10 billion steps? Or do I actually have to run it for 10 billion steps? And the answer, as you might suspect, is there's no easy way. You have to run the stupid machine. There's no quick way that's significantly faster than running the machine for 10 billion steps to determine whether or not it's going to halt within that time. And the actual proof of this is just really, really similar to the undecidability of the halting problem, right? Imagine you had a Turing machine that takes as input another Turing machine and decides whether it's going to halt in less than 10 billion steps. Well, okay, now you take another Turing machine that takes in that first one, sees what it would do when applied to itself, and does the opposite, right? So if the first one says, oh yeah, you're going to halt within 10 billion steps, then run for 10 billion and 1 steps. And if it says no, well then halt immediately in much less than 10 billion steps, right? And that second bit, the halt immediately in less than 10 billion steps, is because the machine we've supposed existed is a fast machine, is a machine that quickly decides whether or not you're going to halt, in less than 10 billion steps. Great. So this ability to self-examine and do the opposite, it's exactly the same trick as for the undecidability of the halting problem, but you can do it on bounded machines. You can ask, hey, can I quickly decide whether this machine is going to halt after, a fixed number of steps? And you can basically use that same self-defeating argument to say, hey, I can't even decide halting quickly, right? If I know the machine is going to halt in some amount of time, I can't even quickly decide whether it's going to halt in much less than that. And here we have the similar phenomenon. We can express in Presburger arithmetic whether a machine is going to halt or not after some astronomical number of steps, right? We can take in basically a number n and express the statement, this machine is going to halt in less than 2 to the 2 to the n steps, right? So some huge number as a function of n. We can express this in Presburger arithmetic using some formula that's not that big. That's basically of size n times some constant. And this is bad because now we can express the halting of Turing machines after some astronomical time in some short length. And so if we could decide statements in Presburger arithmetic in that short length, in short time, then we'd be able to solve this bounded halting problem. And because we can't, we're sort of self-defeated. We can't possibly solve statements of Presburger arithmetic in time significantly less than 2 to the 2 to the n, where n is the size of the input, right? The statement in Presburger arithmetic we were trying to decide. Unfortunately, our best algorithms are going to have to run in at least that super exponential time. That doesn't stop us from trying to solve the problem in practice, however. And I think in some future podcast, maybe, I will talk about how practical algorithms work and try to puzzle about why they work so well on the pragmatic problems that we end up day to day trying to solve. Until then, take care and see you next time.